Welcome to the Dig Endurance Podcast, where we are all about digging deep and discovering the power of emotional resilience. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by my brother Sean.
As endurance athletes and business owners, we have learned a thing or two about facing and overcoming adversity. We are here to share inspiring stories from our guests that will help you to find that inner strength when you feel like you are running on empty.
Are you ready? Let's dig in. All right, welcome to the Dig Endurance Podcast. I'm Aaron. Sean's here with me today.
Hello.
We're just doing this podcast, the two of us today.
We're going solo today.
It's been a few weeks since we've done so. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about
Slowing down.
Slowing down.
When you're going full speed.
But, talking about how part of slowing down is part of the process and why it's necessary at times. And I think there's some good current examples that we're experiencing and going through with that.
I mean, listen, the reason we're going to talk about this today is because it applies all the way, right? So this morning we were talking about, Aaron and I collaborate with Kevin Purvis, and Aaron brought up some pains and just some concerns.
My shin hurts.
One shin hurts, right?
One shin.
So obviously that leads to a long threaded discussion. And immediately while we're mid-build, we start talking about what the goal is, how we're going to get there. There's concerns. Aaron's concerned, obviously, because he wants to keep running. Kevin's concerned because he wants to implement more different type of strength routines and mobility routines.
We should be specific. I want to keep running. I'm concerned because, I've got a lot of mileage I still got to build.
Right.
I still have
So
to
how far in are you right now?
So right now,
actual build, 2 or 3 weeks, right? Build.
Oh, into the build, yeah.
At least 2 weeks.
Almost 3 weeks into the build. But, with the goal being the marathon, we've got some serious mileage to tack on, especially on the long run days. And I think we have a 16-miler looking at us in the near future. So, I have to balance the concern with wanting to add the mileage with, for the first time, I'm feeling the stress of a shin splint type, in one left leg, which it's at the point where it's brand new, out of the blue. We've obviously talked about my hernia that I have, which is the big thing we've been focusing on, but now there's a new wrinkle. But it's it's early enough that you want to account for that while still not pulling back too much that you can account for adding the mileage.
So we have your goal. Okay. All right. So you want to go to Boston. And let's be real about Boston. You're going from surgery in, what is it, February, March?
January.
January. Okay, so January. So 9 months ago.
Yeah.
To Boston. You are 37, correct?
Years old?
Yes.
Yes, 37.
Yes, age-wise, not maturity-wise.
Yeah.
So 37 years old, we need to run a 3:05. That's a 7-minute flat per mile. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not easy. You haven't been running. You didn't have a ton of base fitness before. So your goal...
Before the surgery.
In terms of specific training.
Give me a little more credit than that.
Aaron's ran 3 times before that. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is the plan is intense. The goal is intense. It's not an easy goal. Is it doable? Absolutely, 100%. But it has its challenges, right? So we have to be smart, patient, but at the same time we have to dig in and drive hard. Mm-hmm. So now we've been patient, we've been smart, we've worked with KP, we've built out this plan, and we're beyond ahead of schedule. We're hitting threshold workouts, interval workouts, track workouts. We're hitting brick runs. We're doing everything we can.
Pushing 50 miles a week.
Yeah, maximizing recovery.
And the track workouts are pushing, sub 6 minutes a mile. So those are all good things.
So you're coming into the office every morning at 7 or 8 a.m. after doing a 5 a.m. run. You walk in, happy as can be, high fives. We're doing good, checking the boxes, and then boom.
Well,
here we go.
Yeah, now even this morning, the run was good.
Totally.
The data's good. But yeah, in the sense that, hey, the shin's mad at me. And probably the not good part of it is when I'm not running and walking around, I can still feel it a little bit.
But that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
Be real about it.
Yeah.
Be real about your feelings. You're not just waltzing in here like, oh, another day, it's a run.
No.
There's no way it's not consuming you.
Yeah, it is there for sure in the back of my head. It's what's frustrating about it is I'm not through the hernia, and as we've said before, probably never really will truly be through the hernia. That's the new normal. It's
Okay.
a matter of working with you and Kevin to build the tolerance of the new normal, which we've been successfully doing. So that's been good, but it's like that's always there, and I've never ran a marathon with that type of normal, so that's still a challenge in front of me.
Okay.
And then yes, you feel that today, and it's just like suck. Like I was on the hills this morning, and then like it was like hill 3 or 4. It's not like a ton of pain, but it's like enough where it's just like
It's there.
suck. And we've got like 60
not going
days.
away.
Yeah, and it's like 60 days, and it's like 60 days out. I mean, shin splints or anything anyone hasn't felt. You talk to any runner, people do shin splints, but
We've
it's
got
just
a couple athletes with that right
but,
now
but
that
it's just
hitting Santa Cruz
it's just
next week.
another layer. So
But I want to focus on, you've put in all this work. We've spent hours literally meeting in the office, if you built it out over time, implementing a plan every single week over and over, all the way down to where I don't even give you a full week. I give you 1 or 2 days because I don't know what's going to happen.
I take pills like I'm at a senior center. Sean has me take like 20 pills a morning.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, when we talk about work, we're talking about two separate
Those are antipsychotic pills, though, are they not? Are those supplements or
two separate
Okay.
exercise plans, right? There's the runs, plus there's the strength and mobility. Runs in the morning, strength, mobility, afternoon, evening. The pills, which, I mean, there's the vitamins plus the supplements that are for the heart rate,
Yep,
that are
yep.
also for, the running, endurance.
Nothing crazy, just supplements for
Yeah,
oxygen uptake and
nothing
threshold
crazy.
stuff.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just like 20 pills a day. Nothing
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, they
Yeah.
taste great.
Yeah.
They don't taste gross.
You
or
don't
anything.
breathe them in and out. the rest of
Yeah.
the- Okay, perfect.
So, and then on top of that, on top of you and I working 50 to 60 hours a week and raising 4 kids and going back to school, it's just, that's where we're at.
So we did all that, put in the plan, and then now here we are. We've made literally every ounce of progress that we would have wanted, and quite frankly, I would say a little bit more.
Yeah.
I would also like to add that with all of that done, that this shows up. I want to tap into where your mind's at with that, and then what we're going to do. I want to talk about adjusting. We've talked about adapting and adjusting, right? So now what are we going to do to adapt, to adjust, to slow down, not change the goal, but to still hit the goal? Because this, let's be real about this. This is normal in every aspect of life, right? Where you're aiming towards something, where you're receiving an email about something you've been working towards for 3 months, and they're like, "Hey, this is wrong. You need to do this or do that." I mean,
Yep.
anything.
Well, the problem is it's small enough now that, if I continued the way that have been, you risk down the road. It may be small now, but it becomes less small or becomes more problematic down the road, which is why we adjust now. So what is the adjustment?
The adjustment is, like I've always said, we make deposits. We're not making deposits right now. We are heavily making withdrawals all the way through to the build. Obviously, the taper is adding a little bit more to the bank account. We need to figure out a way to make a couple of deposits that alleviates any sort of risk while at the same time not losing fitness, right? And this does not need to be for a marathon. This can be anyone doing any type of training that has a goal, already paid for the race, and they want to get there. Unless your shin's broken in half, obviously, which is a different story, which it's not.
Thankfully, that's not the case.
We're going to implement a lot more time on the bike again. We're going to do heavy strength workouts and threshold workouts on the bike, and we're going to drop the mileage back down, and we're going to pay attention to the response, right? We're going to pay attention to the pain. Is it going away? Is it getting worse? What does it feel like when you're walking? Are we actually being honest about the pain? Are you going to want to minimize the pain because you're in some sort of mental distress going through this process, and you've really worked your freaking butt off 5 a.m. basically every morning, and then we're here all day at the office? How are you going to handle that?
I mean, I'll handle it. I mean, it's
just like that,
At
Sky
the-
Munch style.
At this juncture, I mean,
It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the only concern I have is in my shoes. We're 60 days in, or away rather from. We're like 5 months into the
Technically
training.
50 if we include tapering.
We're 50 days out from the race. In my view, I know
So we had 8
how
weeks.
it's gone. We've talked about this in past podcasts. I know how it goes when I've obviously learned a thing or two to this point by doing the training with you and Kevin. So I've been able to add to my knowledge. But my old approach, I've learned that with the progress we've made, that I can trust, you and Kevin. So all there is to do is to do what's put in front of me. And I think my main concern is just that the pain has been manageable and has been workable with the hernia. The time and the fitness is improving as far as the speed goes. The concern for me at this point will be watching what you guys do to help me still add the mileage. It's 26 miles. It's a lot of miles in a race. Many of which, people are putting, 60, 70 plus miles a week to prepare for. And I've scratching 50. So it will be, my concern is that I can still add the mileage while pulling back, like you're saying, at the same time. Thankfully, I guess maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Having been through it with the hernia, which is no small thing to navigate, you've already pulled it back on the bike before, where we pulled me off the running and put me more on the bike, and I was able to see the progress through the summer doing that. So a shin splint hopefully is less problematic than the hernia, and will hopefully, if it's early enough that we can address that now, that we can still build the fitness we need to, add the mileage we need to, and account for the stress on the shin.
Yeah.
That's
So we're
my...
gonna keep it simple, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm just spelling it out. I mean, that's my view. I'm not, it's not like too stressful. It's more just frustrating. It's just like, because I finally felt like we were getting into a groove where it took literally, you said it, January. It's taken, 8 months to get my body even close to a point of performance like what I'm used to with this new normal of my pelvis and hips being wrecked. And then it's just like this new thing, and it's just like, frickin' dang it. And so, but I think I'm optimistic. I feel good. The last 2 years, when I followed Sean's plan specifically for the race, both years I exceeded my expectations, but also my previous year's performance. So
a couple PRs.
that's where
All right.
So you've built trust with me.
Okay.
Even though I'll still ask you some questions, but
You get one a week.
But you've built trust with me. So yeah.
Evan's running scared. He knows you're coming.
I'm
told
sure
me.
he's not running
He
scared.
told me.
We were on the track together on Wednesday, and Evan is his pace is very much still faster. However, I can tell that I'm making progress.
Now, from a
But-
coach's standpoint, though, I like seeing both,
Mhm.
because now I'm seeing both people make significant strides in their fitness, and quite frankly, it's like a motivator for me.
Yeah.
And as sad as this is to say, from your perception, when this presents to me, a little bit of the imposter syndrome shows up, but then I go back and I look at progress data, what's happened, PRs.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I've been doing this for a while. I want to accept this challenge and figure a way out. I'm just as invested as you are.
Yeah.
We
will.
This is a big team effort, and the best part about this is this is all being tracked. We're recording it, we're seeing it,
Yeah.
and so you've got to live up to that.
Yeah, whoever's watching and following is definitely going to know if I don't make it. But to me, there is no not making it. So we just got to make it. Yeah, I think the injury will be fine. It's not even really a true injury to me. I think it's more of a stress, and it's early enough that I think we can account for it. I think my concern mainly is this time last year, I feel like we were putting in about the same mileage, but it was for a half marathon, which I crushed and felt
Okay.
really great about.
Okay.
We have to double that mileage in a race. And I'm not going to lie, when I finished that half at the speed that I did last year, which I think was 12 seconds faster pace per mile than what I have to do in a full marathon this year, there's no freaking way I could have done another 1 or 2 miles at the end of last year's race. So again, we have 50 days to address that. So
All right.
yeah, no pressure.
I'm excited about it. It's going to happen. We're going to figure it out. The main reason I wanted to bring this up is to be realistic about a situation. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be this crazy intense situation, but I wanted to take something that popped up out of nowhere that kind of caught us all off guard and chit chat about it. Because I know there's people that listen that, I don't know, it doesn't have to be training. They could be training for a 5K or a half marathon or whatever it is. And I could go down the list of other things that pop up in other people's lives. Text messages I get at 11 o'clock last night that, so-and-so's wife has been in bed rest because she's pregnant for 2. I mean, there's so many different factors that you need to adapt to that apply across life. I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to talk about heavy goals, goal setting, which we've done previously, and then you set out a very intentional path, and you're literally mid-stride, and you're seeing it. Like, you can see the light. It's right there. It's not a bright light, but it's there. And like, you're on the path, I'm going, you're super happy and content, and then, doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just kind of like okay, something needs to change. Someone has to do something about this, and it consumes you. It consumes everyone.
The
out
bottom
there.
line is the day is going to come. Some marathoners, I just have to give them credit. There's just more of a, I don't know if it's just they weigh $150, they have a natural talent, or both. They just seem to do it, and it's like, okay, did another marathon.
Maybe they're not working 60 hours a week.
I know. For me, it's going to be a battle. No matter how much I
agree.
I train or prepare for it, it's going to be a flippin' fight. I anticipate that, and so for me, I think the mental gymnastics of navigating the injury as well as the new challenges or stresses and the adjustments, just the mental going through of all of that and preparation of all that, I think is actually a blessing in disguise, because that's how the race is going to be anyway. So it's, where there's the pain and where there's the discomfort, I know for me especially, I'm going to have to overcome that on race day. So it's I think a blessing in disguise to go through that more in the training process, because I'm going to have to rely on that experience as much as I can, when the day comes.
So what's your biggest concern? Is it fueling, pain, distance, time?
I think the concern is the distance.
What's your weakness? The distance?
Half marathons,
the time?
Historically for me, are a good race and a strength for me.
Right in the middle.
Just like you've said, I know people that don't even dabble in the full Ironman. They stick with the half distance. I love the half marathon because I finished that. There's really no fueling or very little fueling required. It's that distance. I'm very comfortable in that distance. I feel like
still long enough to where it's endurance.
Yeah,
but just short enough to where it doesn't.
But that to me is
suck
like
your
a natural,
soul out of your body.
The marathon is a very uncomfortable, daunting. I hit mile 18, 19, 19, 20, and it's just like, yeah. You got it. No matter what the preparation, I got to dig in, and so that, I think the mileage. On top of that, with each mile or added minutes that I've been adding with the hips and the pelvis on the hernia, I'm having to train my body to stretch a little more each week, and it's working, but it's not a pain. It's like how do I describe? It's like a resistance that I have to work against. It's just like my body's almost like telling me oh, hey, I'm your hips and your pelvis, and I'm this is bothering me, kind of a thing. It's not like pain. It's just like added resistance or added annoyance more than anything. So the mileage will be the hardest thing, like the length, like of the run, and just, you know, it's gonna be mental. There's just no getting around it. I mean, this isn't unique for anybody, and so I'm not trying to pretend like I'm special that way.
You're not.
But I'm just saying that I know for me that's going to be the hardest part. Will definitely be the distance, just based on my experience. So
let me ask you this, and be real. Do you stress over the fact that there are other people involved on your team? Like me? Kevin,
involved?
Supporters, people cheering you
No,
on. Me, Evan, Kelsey,
I don't stress.
Megan, we're all cheering you on. And
that's helpful.
Motivator?
No,
so it's a motivator.
I think one of why I haven't thrived in the marathon distance in the past is because the opposite, because I did it myself or on my own.
Oh.
So I think kind of like we talked about, I think we've got new tools or new approaches, better accountability, smarter, more informed training and adjustments. When I did, just take the half marathon, passed as pretense. The fastest ones I ran, even when I was in my mid-20s, last year, training with you, and I hadn't even used Kevin Purvis at that time. I broke an hour 30. I was 36 years old. That's, and that was a 3 or 4 minute PR for me compared to when I was like 26 or 27.
Before surgery with a hernia.
Right. So it can be done. Yeah.
Definitely.
So this time it's just a harder race we're picking in a faster, pace. To qualify for Boston puts you in the top 1% of runners, I believe, on average for your age group. If I've heard right, or if I've read
sure
correctly,
it's somewhere very close
I believe
to
it's
that.
I believe it's the top 1 percentile. So
let's be clear. I haven't qualified for Boston.
you were flipping really
I
close.
was really close,
Yeah.
but I did not, and I did it it was about 60 days from zero.
Yeah.
From COVID for 9 months and nothing, no swimming, biking, or running for 9 months straight. It's doable.
Yep.
I got lucky. I wasn't injured or anything,
Yeah.
but it's doable. But again, I adapted and followed a plan, and the plan changed multiple times. And I had different goals than you did. The goal really wasn't to qualify for Boston. That just kind of came about a couple weeks before when I saw my ability. But either way, that does not mean it does not elude me, because it does. At some point, I want to chase that too. But more importantly, everyone out there does the same thing. They set goals, and they start to hit them, and some people go right to their goal and they hit it, like you said. There's some people that can just go out and start running, and maybe it's their body composition or how skinny they are, and let me tell you, I'm very jealous, but I also enjoy the work. I consider myself somewhat capable of doing stuff, but not the best. And I enjoy having to logically sit down and be open-minded and figure out a way for me to achieve my goal. It doesn't matter what you're doing or anyone else is doing, but that challenge gives me something in my life. It's something that is purposeful to me.
Yeah.
It gives me purpose when I'm working. It gives me purpose at home, and it gives me something to think about.
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's what the podcast is about. It's what Dig is about. It's resilience.
Yep.
And you only build it, through you build it through success as well as pain, and the two things that we do, endurance training as well as business. It's both. The point you brought up is learning to slow down or take a step back sometimes in order to get back on track or make the progress that you need to. And so we're going through that right now with training, with endurance training, but with my Boston goal, we're going through it right now with forward too.
Big changes, adaptations, growth.
Really, really big changes.
All kinds of good stuff.
We it is overall good, but if people, if I didn't have the experience I had in the last couple of weeks, I'd be probably a little distraught. We had to close a center.
Yep.
That's not pleasant.
No.
We decided that we'd try to provide services in Hanford. The demand is there, going great. Staffing is very, very difficult during this post-COVID era, especially. Due to staffing challenges, the bottom line is the data and the reality of the situation is it just makes better sense for us to operate and only grow in Fresno and Clovis. I mean, it's just simple as that. It's a simple opportunity cost assessment, which is it better for Forward or for us to meet the demand here where we are in Fresno and Clovis, and is that more doable with the resources that we have to us, where we still have lots of families to serve, rather than spread ourselves too thin by trying to get, in these more rural or outer areas? And the answer, unfortunately, was yes. Short term, what that meant is, we're invested in a center that, we had to pull out of. And, that meant, breaking hard news to families.
A lot of families.
Still working with them
Yes,
to get services elsewhere, to, transition them to
Every single one.
to other places. Gave them the adequate notice. But that is, not only services for them, it's revenue for the company, and it's an adjustment. So we went from 3 locations to 2, and
what does that mean for Forward here?
well, short term, nothing changes the quality of the care. It just means that when we have a ton of demand, like we've discussed, for Fresno and Clovis, it just means that we continue to add clients with the capacity that we have at our other locations and make up that lost ground. It's similar to the endurance training. It's you slow down, you reassess your priorities, and then you adjust the strategy. And that's what we've done. And the strategy is we continue to grow like we've been doing and grow clients and expand our services, but we're doing it here in Fresno and Clovis. And as we reach capacity where we already are, we'll continue to add physical presence and locations here in Fresno and Clovis. And in addition to that, I mean, we've been knocking on IOP and substance abuse's door for almost half a year now.
It's coming right up.
And so again, same thing. We've just had to slow down, and by readjusting from that location that closed, we're putting more attention and time and resources into that which hasn't opened yet, that's just basically having faith that we're going to get that open soon, something that's not completely in our control. But short term, you're giving up some revenue. You've had to let some clients and staff go, and that's not an easy thing. But long term,
better outlook for more families.
It's better focus, and some other people within our company have been, promoted or put in different roles, and it's opportunity for growth for them. We've hired some new people to join us for Fresno and Clovis.
Yep.
And it's absolutely a recalibration that long term will be better for us. And so I can sit here and be calm and not stress about it because I've just been through so many other situations, but and similar to like training for Boston, but I know that in old situations or past situations similar, that the old Aaron or the less experienced one would be a lot more anxious about these kinds of things. But experience breeds resilience. Experience informs.
I feel like your experience
informs emotions.
And your resilience has also allowed you to build quite an impressive team. Because I'm going to go ahead and toot that horn myself. We have a solid team here.
Yeah. The other thing I think you're right
it's been great.
Is that it's given us a chance. I do believe more strongly than ever that culture matters more than anything. And you need the right people on your team that trust what you're doing, believe in what you're doing, are behind what you're doing, and that you can trust them. And those are skills, people's work ethic, their integrity, their character. I can't teach people those things.
No. My confidence in our team in every aspect is up there. I mean
we're a clinical based company, so we can teach clinical skills all day long. Those can be taught. Those can be learned through education, through experience, through our staff here. But I can't teach people to be positive, hardworking, pleasant people to be around. And at this juncture, that's all I really care about, that we have it forward. The rest will take care of itself. And
and it pays
I
off.
do think that this situation, though a little painful and a bummer in some ways, is a great recalibration for our culture and our future focus.
And we dug in and adapted, and we quite frankly,
Yeah, well, and honestly,
it's been quite efficient.
Yeah,
with our team.
and honestly, it's in spite of the losses, I feel greater peace and purpose as far as forward goes with the team that we have more than I ever have, and
I'm excited.
That's a good feeling to have.
Very.
I feel, and I absolutely believe that when you have the assurance of that, and you just the confidence in your culture and your team, that the results will follow. They always have, in my experience, and so I think that
Enough said, right?
you
there.
know we've kind of had this convergence of slowing down or taking a step back, recalibrating with Boston, and we will, and our dedicated podcast team will continue to document that, and either you'll watch me fail spectacularly, or you'll watch me hopefully pull it off. And I intend.
It's not an if; it's a win.
I intend
to win.
I intend to pull it off.
I'll be on course with the bike, pulling you along.
But and then with forward, it's simply an opportunity to invest more here where we are, to recalibrate our strategy as a company, and also to invest more in the right people that we have already, and to bring new ones on that are going to step up for us in big ways.
We love this community.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah.
We're definitely in for the community. Born and raised here. We've been here pretty much the whole time. And the relationships and contacts that we have here and the people that we serve, I mean, it's the most rewarding thing ever. And that's the best part about Forward is our growth, our clinical team, our staff, the camaraderie, the culture, the resilience of the staff that you've put together. It's phenomenal. It's the best. And we're here in our community.
At the end of the day, everything we've described, I mean, we kind of sit here and we talk about it so casually, but these aren't casual things.
Nope.
They're not for everyone. It's stressful stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how we feed our families, and but in regards to forward and people might hear things like, you and me training for Boston and stuff, or what we do with Dig, and think, oh, that's a side thing. That's nice to have it. It's not to me. I live for this. Like, I need this. Like, I need it like I need air.
Totally.
Like, those runs to me are sacred. That's when I get like my time away from, just everything, and just get to, focus and build my strength and my capabilities. And everyone has their thing. That's my thing. Like, I live for those moments. And frankly, between all the things we've talked about with Dig and with the training for Boston and with Forward and building businesses, and I live for all of it. And that's what people need to understand is
Aaron, it's purpose. That's your purpose.
It's purpose.
It's yours. It's no one else's.
But we focus on this podcast kind of on the endurance training and on the business ownership and entrepreneurship side of things. And it's not for everyone, but I live for it. I live for you kind of learn to embrace the uncertainty and the fear, and it becomes oxygen in a way. It actually. And then when you overcome the uncertainty and the fear, and you learn to slow down like what you've talked about, and you are able to get results where some people would say, hey, this is too much stress, or this is too much uncertainty, or goodness, I just want the consistency of a 9-to-5 job, or I just like taking my walks in the morning, and that's cool. That's for some people, but for me, life's too short for that, and I'm not just here to exist and check basic boxes day to day. I legitimately have come to live for leveling up and for what can we conquer and do next, even if that means, listen, the reality is we have failed. our branching out into Hanford, it ultimately was a failure.
Yep.
I mean, it was. Some of these training days I have, I do fail sometimes to meet the full mileage or the full time or whatever. Then other days are glorious triumphs, like, the last couple track workouts we've had where I'm hitting sub 6 mile intervals with my hernia, which I've never done. Or we've got, between Fresno and Clovis, utilization and clients added is the highest it's ever been. So you take some on the chin and,
reap the rewards of hard work
and you
consistency.
and you also win some. But ultimately, we've talked about this in past podcasts. It's a couple dips, but overall the trend is, upward. And I think that slowing down, like you said, and taking stock and readjusting is just part of that process. But if you don't slow down, if you keep the same course, like, for example, if we decided to stay in Hanford like we did, stretch our resources, continue to struggle to hire and deal with other challenges, long term, I'm very confident that forward our growth would not do this. It might be more like this, or kind of hit a ceiling.
So you would technically not be making deposits.
Well, so some people that might seem counterintuitive. It's like, well, wait, you just lost a center or a location, but it's like, yes, that's the short term, but long term for my overall growth and for our company, this is absolutely the right decision for us to be able to grow and add clients sustainably and grow,
serve more families,
and grow in a way that we can serve more families and be more impactful in behavioral mental health.
Yeah.
And so if we didn't slow down, just like if we were to train with an injury that we should right now make adjustments for, if we didn't make those adjustments now, long term it would impact our growth and our ability to accomplish more down the road. So those two things are absolutely intertwined right now as I see it.
Be consistent, but be willing to be open-minded when you need to slow down, make adjustments, and then reap the rewards.
Yeah. And make the hard decisions where you need to. Don't overthink it. Typically, if your gut's telling you to do something or it's right, for the long term, then usually what I've learned is to trust that and make that decision.
Yeah.
So, anyway, hopefully some people find that helpful today. It's
helpful to myself.
The last few weeks have been new challenges for us, but I think that we continue to navigate it and carry on in our journey.
I agree.
It'll be good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.
And next week we shall have another guest.
We will.
Yeah. All right. See y'all later.